together a 100-man science team. Now, some of them are historians, some are filmmakers and record keepers, and we need these kinds of people as well.